Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com, here for Post-Raw number 61. I am at the end. I have made it. I cannot believe I am saying it, but I have made it. The end of a very long 7 days of professional wrestling. Woo! Survivor Series weekend is long, and it's over. Mercifully, I still have my hair too. It's incredible. I started off with Raw last week, 3 hours there. So I got 3 hours in. I did NXT, so that's another 2 hours. That's 5 hours of wrestling. Then another 2 hours of SmackDown. That's 7 hours. 3 hours or so of NXT TakeOver. So that's 10. And then, 4 hours of Survivor Series. So that's 14. And then another 3. Oh my God. 17 hours of wrestling. I have recapped it all. My fingers are numb. My mind is broken. My body is beaten. But I made it. Wasn't that the old King of the Ring tagline too? Wasn't it like, my mind is broken, my body aches, lead me to my throne? I don't think I'm going to get a throne for what I've done tonight or this week, but I don't know. Maybe the site will get more views. Who knows? We are the site of views, by the way. Anyway, let me say hello to everybody in the chat room. We got a lively chat here tonight. A lot of people talking. This is very nice to see. We got Quentin Walters, one of our biggest fans in the chat room tonight, which is always great to see. We love seeing Quentin in the chat room. Who else we got? We got Daniel Scheel, Daniel Scheel, Kit Dyson, yeah, he said it's a long weekend. Oh, yeah. Billy Hefner's in the chat room. Excellent. My dearest friend. Nafis Sadat. Actually, Billy Hefner's like a brother to me. Nafis Sadat. I'm yawning so hard right now. I guess he just got done watching Raw, so that's possible. Trevor Mishke. AOP must have gotten the Tedescos. Oh, no, I'm here. Sweet Louis Veraldi in the chat room tonight. Hey, guys. Hayden Barker in the chat room. Hey, Hayden, how are you doing? Good. And Machoon Walls, we're looking good. We're looking good here. All right. Well, this was a really interesting episode of Raw. So, what's been working lately on Raw? The brawls. The cross-brand brawls with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. How long did that mandate last, by the way? Like, not even a month. Not even a month, where they said, after the draft, there will be absolutely no crossover of any of the rosters. They are all standalone. That did not last long at all. Barely a month into that, and we had three brands brawling because we have to do Survivor Series, and we talked about it last night. Me and Doug Lackey, the host of Wrestleview Weekly, who also co-hosts Wrestleview Live with me, we recapped Survivor Series last night, and we had to have the three brand supremacy brawls. What did that really mean? Well, tonight they actually tried to make it mean something, which I certainly appreciated. There was no stakes on the line last night at Survivor Series. Obviously, there were stakes on the line with TakeOver. Those were actual storylines that were built up, and they culminated in a really great fashion in the War Games matches, and the triple threat was really good. Finn Balor versus Matt Riddle I thought was fantastic. So, we had one show out of those three actually really meant something. SmackDown was just the same thing. Brand supremacy. But tonight was a change of pace, because now we can't fall back on the brawls that have definitely given them a little bit of a boost in the ratings, because people are kind of curious to see it. Now we got to get back to just trying to tell stories again. And I thought they started telling some really good stories tonight. I thought they started telling some pretty decent stories with Seth Rollins in particular. This is, I don't know if this is going to be a popular show. I don't think that this is going to get a thumbs up on the Twitter poll. Let's just put it that way. I do not see this at all becoming a thumbs up for the Twitters, but you never know. I've seen stranger things. I'm trying to bring up the Twitter. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Let me just go to the Twitter poll real quick and see where we're at. Let me refresh the page. See what happens here. You know what? Forget it. I was wrong. Last I saw it, it was a pretty strong thumbs down. But let's go over to it. Let me move this over so I can see it. All right. Can I press the button? No, it doesn't work. Okay. Here we go. 62% thumbs up right now. 62% thumbs up for this show. There was a lot going on this show. Like I said, they started off some pretty decent storylines. We got a hot title change tonight too, with Rey Mysterio winning the United States Championship from AJ Styles. So Mysterio couldn't quite get the job done on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, who was advertised to be at Raw, wasn't there. So you gotta love false advertising. Instead of winning the WWE title, he wins the United States title. So we'll talk about that. So let's talk about how Raw kicked off. Let's just talk about the Seth Rollins situation, because it's been a situation for a while with him. The boos, we've talked about it ad nauseum. We talked about it last night on the Survivor Series post show, Wrestleview Live number 68. Daniel Shield, 68. There's only one number after 68. So Daniel Shield, if he's not there for that show, I'll never do another Wrestleview Live again. That'll be my last one. If Daniel Shield chickens out, weasels out, cheeses out on that one, I'll never do another one again. How dare you? You better be there for that one. The Seth Rollins thing it's been building for a while, and it started organically, which is sometimes how some of the best things in wrestling happen organically. Like, I know it was a big controversial thing last year, but when Roman Reigns announced that he had the leukemia on that October 2018 edition of Raw from, I think it was Providence, Rhode Island. And later that night, Rollins and Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley in AEW, because that's how well they did this storyline, won the tag titles, and then Ambrose, or Jon Moxley now, turned on Seth Rollins. And it got massive heat, and it was organic heat because people were truly furious because they took away from them a great moment with these two guys who are obviously going through a lot with their real-life friend going through leukemia. I think I was one of the very few defenders of it, and I still defend it. If they actually did that storyline right, Dean Ambrose would probably still be in WWE. He'd be a top heel and making truckloads of cash rather than putting himself through sheets of glass and barbed wire boards and this and that. You know, he could be making some good money and working with his wife. So shame on WWE, because he detailed it. I detailed it all that fall and winter. Me and Victoria did, talking about how badly they botched the Dean Ambrose stuff. That was an organic build. Here, it's another organic build, but in a different way. Thank God it has nothing to do with leukemia. But Seth Rollins has been a bit of a jerk-off on social media. Not the biggest jerk-off. That title belongs to Corey Graves, who is an absolute piece of human garbage, in my opinion. The way he uses his celebrity to bully people online. Not just, and it's the Mauro Ranallo situation, no doubt about it. No doubt. That plays a lot into this. I take mental health very seriously, and everybody should know better. You know, especially with everything the guy went through. He went through a lot over the summer, apparently. And yeah, I get it. He's fair game. Mauro Ranallo is also a public figure, but it's one thing when someone on Twitter is like, "Oh, Mauro, you suck. Stop with the pop culture references." And it's another thing when it's your peer, even though Corey Graves is not on the level of a Mauro Ranallo. Not even close. But it's another thing when it's your peer, and then all of a sudden it's then that opens up the floodgates of the keyboard warriors on Twitter that will just follow whatever wherever there's negativity, those people will be there, and they will pile on. They have no problem doing that. Seth Rollins is not close to that level, and he hasn't gone after any fans like Corey Graves has. Corey Graves has not only gone after Mauro Ranallo, he's gone after fans of the company. He's vanity searched himself. like a true prick and blasted people who didn't tag him. They just were sharing an opinion. He vanity searched himself and then inserted himself in and defended himself from these people who have like 4 followers or whatever, and then opens up the floodgates to make their lives miserable. Why? He goes on with his life. But this is a guy who leaves his wife and goes with children to go with a younger blonde woman. So that's the character of Corey Graves. Rollins is not like that. I am not saying that at all. But he's had some bad showings on social media. He really should follow the CM Punk advice that was given to him on WWE Backstage this past Tuesday and just delete Twitter for a little while. He had the big thing with Will Ospreay over the summer. I think it started in June, and right off the bat, maybe he was trying to be a company guy and said, "Hey, I think we have the best wrestling, period." Will Ospreay had something to say, and pretty soon it just evolved into Rollins unable to think of a retort, so he goes, "Well, let's compare bank accounts." And it's like, right then and there, you lose. And it's been building since then. Some bad storylines, no doubt. The Fiend thing did no favors for him, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, it didn't help him, but it didn't hurt him." I think the Fiend thing really, really hurt Seth Rollins, and I think people just got tired of the way they were. A lot of it has to do with booking too. It's not a big factor of it is the social media, stupid statements that he's made on social media, going after Jonathan Good, John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever you want to call him, going after him, trying to defend the company. Things like that definitely turned people off from him, but also just really bad storytelling with him, bad booking. It seemed like he was crying half the summer. When he was getting beat up by Brock Lesnar, he was coming out every week and, "I will beat him." just doing the crying thing. He even cried when he won the title. Then he was facing Braun Strowman, boring. Then he faced The Fiend in a terrible, one of the worst pay-per-view main events of all time in Hell in a Cell, before finally losing to him at Crown Jewel. It's been a bad stretch for him. And they're going with it. This is an organic thing. He came out in Chicago tonight for a town hall with the Raw roster, and all of a sudden he took his real-life Twitter persona and let it loose on the fans, and I thought it was really damn good. He looks at the Raw roster, who are all just around the ring. How they got there, no one explains it. Just, what did he cordially invite them, ask them? I don't know how that happened, but he just goes, "You know what? It needs to be said. Last night at Survivor Series, we went from the A show to the C show. They've been the C show for quite some time." But I guess he's just realizing, better late than never, though. And you all sucked. And I was like, oh. And the crowd was into it. They go, oh, And then he started just running down people. Well, number one, the first thing that happened was great, was the CM Punk chant started up immediately, and he said, "Well, I tried to invite him, but he'd rather stay behind a desk and troll me," and stuff like that. So that was good. He said that the Raw roster sucked, and the crowd chanted, "So do you," which was a nice little touch. Good job by the Chicago crowd. There were CM Punk chants, but I guess they're warranted now because Rollins has had a war of words with him, and in Chicago, but they were never overwhelming. They never dominated anything. They never took control. They never took over a segment. They would happen. They'd be light, and then they go away. I thought the Chicago, for what's normally a pretty smarky town, Chicago did a pretty good job of just being fans and going and just enjoying the show, reacting, appropriately to things. I don't care if you cheer or boo. If you want to cheer the heels and boo the faces, that's totally fine. But when you're doing chants, and we kind of touched on chants recently. I forget who I was talking with, or I saw a thread talking about chants and how they've actually really ruined wrestling for a while. And I think I talked about that actually on the night after WrestleMania post-Raw show. But there are some times where crowds just do chants, and it has nothing to do with the performer and more about just getting themselves over. I hate that stuff. Chicago did not do that. Probably because they just didn't get a lot of fly-in crowd from Europe. After, Survivor Series just isn't that big a deal where you need to fly in from Europe to see it. And this show had nothing going for it in terms of, I have to see this. So we got regular fans there, and I like it. I like regular fans. I'm not a big fan of these giant smarky crowds. But anyway, he ran down people. He ran down the authors of pain, said, hey, you guys weren't there. You weren't there last night. We don't need you tonight. And they walk off. He ran down Charlotte Flair. She walked off. Randy Orton walked off. The crowd, and then he ran down Rey Mysterio, who, he said, you couldn't even get the job done against Brock Lesnar with a lead pipe and your stupid kid. I beat him twice this year. Rey walked off, and so did the rest of the Raw roster, except Kevin Owens. Calls him Mr. NXT, calls him a lazy piece of crap that can never be Seth Rollins. And then he's like, I'm sorry, this is all coming from a good place. I'm trying to just rally the troops, and then he gets stunned. So he came off like a total dick, and got his mouth and got slapped in the mouth for it, essentially. But he thinks he's doing the right thing. That's the mark of a true heel. If you have to really believe that you're doing the right thing. It's the unpopular thing. It's obviously the thing that makes you a heel, but you have, to be a good heel, you have to really believe it. I think he really, he did a good job making me believe that he really thought he was doing the right thing tonight. So that to me was a big success. That led to Seth Rollins taking on Kevin Owens in the main event tonight. Not much of a main event. I mean, this is, by the time they get to the main event, this is the fourth show in 4 days in the same arena. Probably in front of, I would say, if I had to ballpark it, I would say probably about 70% of the same people that were there all 4 days were there again. They were tired. You saw it last night in Survivor Series main event. This crowd was tired, and I really never recovered from NXT TakeOver. There were some hot moments on the show tonight, but they never really recovered from NXT TakeOver, and it was a flat main event. It was definitely a flat main event, and just as it was getting hot, AOP comes out, which was, wow, that was a great surprise. And they look at Rollins, they look at Owens, and then they double team Owens. They beat him up pretty good, and then they look at Seth Rollins, and then Rollins kind of gets up, challenges them to a fight, and they walk off. So it's like, now you're left thinking that this is a cliffhanger. That's a cliffhanger. What does Rollins have anything to do with this, or was he really challenging them to a fight? Is he really upset? Why didn't he could have gotten up and saved Owens? He knew what was going on. Like, why didn't he? So there's a lot of questions that can be answered. I love that kind of stuff. Is he or isn't he? Is he with them or not? I would love to see the architect Seth Rollins come back. Kevin Owens could be a face. They're definitely doing what they can to turn Randy Orton face as well, even though he never does well as a face. I guess they think that him and Owens maybe can carry the show while Seth Rollins plays bad guy. Hey, I'm all for something different. I'm all for something different because the Rollins thing he's definitely gotten stale. The crowd definitely turned on him, and you know what? For once in their life in the last 10 years, please strike while the iron is hot. People want to boo this guy. They want to hate him. Let them hate him. So they're going to draw this out. Hopefully, maybe they do something around TLC. That'd be really nice. Kind of reveal maybe like Shield 2.0. We're unlike Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. They won't be real peers of Seth Rollins, but they'll be like his bodyguards. Maybe like another J&J Security, but beefier. CJ Bowman made a good point on Twitter before and saying, the next time Rollins goes after Brock Lesnar, who probably by the time Rollins faces him, he'll be heel and Brock will probably be turning face. It'd be really cool to have AOP go out there and do Rollins' bidding by beating down Lesnar a couple times. That could be pretty hot. I think there's a lot of potential for some good stuff here, and that's refreshing because Seth Rollins has been stale as hell. This has been building for some time, and unlike them trying to, cover it up and just pretend like have Vic Joseph or Michael Cole scream, everything's great, nothing to see here, it's all awesome, everybody loves Seth Rollins, everybody loves the show, and we're just in Bizarro world right now where they're booing him. They're going to go with it. Good call. Real good call by WWE on that. So I thought that's some good storytelling. Of course, it's just one night. We'll have to see how they follow up with it next week, but they have me intrigued. Even though the finish was flat, people didn't know how to feel about it. It left me intrigued and asking some questions, and that's about after recapping 17 or 18 hours of wrestling, whatever the number is that I recapped, I would like to I would like to be using my brain and thinking at the end of it, like, oh God, that was pretty good. I can't wait to see what happens next week. That's good stuff. All right. Let's continue on with the show. I'm just going to go from top to bottom now after the Seth Rollins thing. We got Titus O'Neil making an appearance. I can't remember. Somebody tell me the last time. I cannot remember the last time Titus O'Neil had a singles match on Raw. I can't. It probably was recent, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. Maybe a 24/7 title thing. Who knows? Like a legitimate singles match. I can't remember. But he was out there tonight facing Bobby Lashley, and Titus O'Neil, he is in great shape. He never could put it together in the ring. He's a little too clunky. He doesn't have that fluid movement that you look for in a wrestler. He was always kind of boxy in the ring. Just always looked very stiff. It's like it's like what I've been told for years with my bowling. Like I like to bowl every now and then, and I try to get my swing down as much as I can, and they tell me, "Oh, you're too stiff. You're not moving your butt." Like, whatever. Some people just can't get it. I'm one of them. I'm too stiff apparently. But Titus O'Neil is a little stiff in the ring. Just doesn't have that fluid movement. Facing Bobby Lashley, he looked pretty good. I gotta say, he looked good next to Bobby Lashley. And then it ended with Rusev running in, and I thought, it's been no secret that I have not been the biggest fan of this Rusev, Lana, Bobby Lashley love triangle thing, but this was a good angle. They showed footage of Rusev being kicked out of the Allstate Arena earlier in the night with the restraining order, and then he runs in through the crowd. And the only thing that was a little off was that the police didn't come out right away. Like, where were the police? Like, there's no security around. Like, come on now. But he beats up Bobby Lashley, beats him up the ramp, and then finally the cops come in. They arrest him. No incident. Finally, it's like every single time they use cops in an angle, the wrestler always winds up beating up the cops, and then they're out of jail after just assaulting a law enforcement officer within days so they can make the next show. Are you kidding me? Come on. So they arrest Rusev without incident. The only thing that was a little off was the fact that he broke free from the cops, which I guess you have to do because it's pro wrestling. He broke free from the cops and shoulder blocked Bobby Lashley off the stage, threw some tables, and then knocked over a scaffold on him or something like that, and then they pulled him back. I think in real life, if he tried to escape the cops, they'd probably just clip his knee and take him down, or if he does manage to get away, they just tase him down. But that's okay. I can suspend my disbelief enough for that. I thought this was a really hot angle. I thought it was really good, and I was like, well, obviously they're going to be doing like some kind of match at TLC with these two. I don't know if it's going to be alimony on a pole, an alimony ladder match, a divorce, decree on a pole, or divorce decree chairs match, whatever it is. They can do a bunch of different things. A tables match, and the loser goes to the table, gets to marry Lana. It's like, I don't know. And I watched Rusev beat him, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way when these two have a singles match that Rusev is beating Bobby Lashley. Absolutely no way. So he will have to, again, take it on the chin, take the loss, have Bobby Lashley and his real-life wife stand over him and make out, but this time on a pay-per-view event. TLC, I'm imagining. So I'd like to be wrong about that, but you know what? This was a good angle. I really, really enjoyed it. AOP finally in action. We just talked about AOP in the main event. They're finally in action against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, who they attacked last week. Ryder and Hawkins are never going to get their title opportunity, even though they've earned it. They should have just been put off a week, but they're dead. It's over. AOP made very short work of them, killed them. Good stuff. I enjoyed it. Always love a good squash match, and AOP did a nice one. Andrade versus Akira Tozawa. I was expecting a little more from this one. Especially after Akira Tozawa had a really good match against Buddy Murphy last week. I thought, if they're going to make him job guy, that's totally fine. That's totally cool. But, hey, we'll get good matches out of him. Well, this one was just pretty much a one-sided affair from the get-go. Andrade powerbombed him to start off the match, and then eventually just crush him with a hammerlock DDT for the win. I've been seeing Andrade for the past year and a half getting win after win in these kind of squash matches, and then he goes and has a good match against somebody like a Rey Mysterio, like the series that they had, and nothing comes of it. It feels like they start the machinations of pushing him, and then they pull back. Then they start the machinations again of pushing him, and then pulling back. How many times are we going to see this? I am dying to see them do something with Andrade. How was a guy this talented left off of the Survivor Series show last night? He should have been on someone's team. Team Raw, Team SmackDown. He's a former NXT champion. They could have gone after him and put him on. He'd probably be better served going back to NXT if they're looking for some main roster guys to go back. That's the guy. That's the guy, Andrade. I would send him back to NXT and let him just do his thing. I don't know if Vince understands what to do with him. I just don't know. Like they have some good ideas. Paul Heyman's doing his best, but I just don't see any real progress here. It's the same old. Same old. That's why I put up the GIF or the meme of the guy. I forgot what's from. I think it's the guy from Indiana Jones. Still waiting for them to do something with Andrade. Still waiting. Will it happen? Jury's out. Remains to be seen. But I would put it back. I think NXT is calling his name. Either that, or they're going to try to make him the next Latin star, because obviously the Humberto Carrillo experiment is officially over. That is over. We'll talk about that in a little bit, because that got lost in the shuffle with the really hot title change. Because initially it was AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo. So when I say title change for the United States title, by the way, so when I say title change, you might think, oh, maybe he means Humberto Carrillo. No. He had nothing to do with that match. Nothing at all. Matt Hardy reminds everybody that he's still gainfully employed by World Wrestling Entertainment, even though I don't think they're even called World Wrestling Entertainment anymore. I think it literally is just WWE. In fact, I know it is, but anyway, no word on Jeff Hardy. I hope. I don't know if we'll ever see Jeff Hardy again. The way things are going with him, it's a shame. But Matt Hardy, I know he's been on the house show loop. They bring him out every now and then, I guess, if they're on the East Coast, so he doesn't have to go too far away from home. For whatever reason, they brought him to Chicago this week, maybe just to get that pop, that nostalgia pop from the Chicago crowd, because they sent him out before the commercial break, right after this Andrade match. And he got a good pop, and everybody seemed pretty happy to see him. Faced Buddy Murphy, and he did the honors for him. Lost to Buddy Murphy. Busted Buddy Murphy's nose pretty good, too. I always like seeing a little blood, especially, because that sometimes, as long as it's not like gratuitous and as long as the guy isn't really like in danger, I don't mind blood because it kind of adds something to it. Like, take NXT, for example, 2 weeks ago. Mia Yim versus Io Shirai in the ladder match, if anybody saw this match. I'm not going to lie. For whatever reason, that Wednesday, I was exhausted, and this ladder match was absolutely putting me to sleep. They were just, you might as well put me in Liliana's little rocking chair and just had the thing vibrate me to sleep like that. I was falling asleep at the keyboard watching it. All of a sudden, I just kind of catch out of the corner of my eye that drop kick, the ladder into the face. And I'm like, oh, wow, that actually looked like it connected. And all of a sudden, I just see blood gushing out. I'm like, whoa. All of a sudden, the NXT arena comes hot for it. I'm all of a sudden intrigued. Granted, it's kind of barbaric that it took her face getting bashed in for me to become intrigued by it, but that's neither here nor there. The fact is that got Mia Yim over big time. She's been a middling talent, maybe at best. I don't think she's polished enough to really be on TV, but they're running with her anyway. But the fact that she not only powered through that, she did the finish. She did her job. You get injured. It's the old wrestling mentality. You finish your damn job, as Michael Hayes said, I think on one of those WWE Network shows. And then she took that insane bump off the ladder bridge through, outside the ring. she earned a lot of respect tonight, including from me, and it made me a believer in Mia Yim. So that's an example of blood highlighting something. Buddy Murphy's bloody nose highlighted this. He looked like a madman when he was calling out Aleister Black, and of course he has to be a madman because he's calling out Aleister Black, who comes out and knees him in the face. So good angle there. I like where they're going with it. To me, it feels like Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black will probably wind up on the pre-show of TLC, but we'll see. I think that they should just have it be a Raw feud. Never touches a pay-per-view, never does a pre-show. They just do it on Raw, and they get time. Because there's 3 hours on the show, you have plenty of time. How could that hurt? Sorry, I'm just looking. I just got back to the chat room. I'm sorry. I should be interacting more tonight, but I just keep talking about all this stuff because I have a lot of things I want to say. But I see people, even though the angle was good with Rusev and Lana, Quentin Walters, end this angle, please. And Daniel Schell, but just fucking stop this program, please, for the love of God, WWE. Daniel Schell is not feeling that at all. But people do think Andrade is a future U.S. champion. Okay, what does everybody think of Andrade going to NXT again? What are your thoughts on that? I'd like to know. Yeah. So anyway, I'll wait for those responses to pour in, and I'll continue on. Where are we? Okay, so Humberto Carrillo is getting ready to make his entrance. Now we're going to have this United States title match that they advertised last week. I have talked for a while on this show about how badly they have tried to create a star in Humberto Carrillo. They put him in there, his first night, his first match on Raw, probably the first time anybody's ever seen him outside of like the 3 people that watch 205 Live that aren't involved in the production. They put him in the ring with Seth Rollins. Seth beats him handily. It wasn't like, it was close, like Humberto Carrillo was ever really going to pin him. Next week, they put him in there with AJ Styles. Again, AJ Styles beats him. And then it's, Crown Jewel. They send him to Crown Jewel. He wins the Battle Royal, but he loses to AJ Styles again. So now it's like, okay, every singles match this guy's in, he loses. Can't even beat Carl Anderson without help. And now he has a United States title shot, and they have just really, really bungled him pretty good. The rumor was that they were going to try to make him like the next Latin star. I guess they kind of took that title away from Andrade and gave it to Humberto Carrillo. Well, tonight, that experiment ended, it appears. He was attacked by the OC, never made he made a mini comeback on them, but then they killed him. And that was it. You never saw him again. They never mentioned him again. Rey Mysterio, who put him over last week, I believe it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, Rey Mysterio, they had him put Humberto Carrillo over. And a couple people have put over Humberto Carrillo too in interviews backstage. Mysterio comes out. So after Humberto Carrillo gets killed, they send out Ricochet to, challenge AJ Styles to a match. And then they send out Randy Orton to challenge him to a match. And they send out Drew McIntyre to challenge him to a match for the title. And then they finally sent up Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, who just put Humberto Carrillo over, doesn't even mention Humberto Carrillo's name, doesn't check on him to see if he's okay. He's just gone. They never mention him again. That's about as clear of a burial as you can possibly get. That was pretty strong. Pretty strong. So that's the end of it. Okay, so people like Andrade going to NXT. Nafisa Dot says, given his talent, Andrade really deserves to be on the main roster. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, well, I think since NXT now has the TV deal, I don't know if there is a main roster anymore. I guess I don't know. So just be shuffling him around to a different show, but that there is a very different philosophy from NXT to Raw and SmackDown. Now, whether that stays that way after they beat AEW in the ratings this week. Not the demographic ratings, which are more important than actual viewership, but they beat them nonetheless in total viewers by, I think, a mere 6,000 or 9,000. I think it was 9,000 viewers that they beat them by. With all of Vince's talent, I don't know if Vince will take more of a hands-on approach to keep winning, because he likes to keep winning. We'll see. I will see if they shuffle some people around to them. Anyway, getting back to this, the OC actually winds up goading AJ Styles into accepting this, because Ricochet, out of nowhere just goes, hey, why, since you don't want to accept any of our challenges, why don't we have a fatal 4-way and the winner will face you? And Luke Gallows goes, hey, well, actually, that sounds kind of compelling. And Anderson thinks it's cool. Styles is mad, but he agrees to it. And it's like, okay, they're going to do all this stuff. We're going to have this fatal 4-way and then a title match in the same night. Watch, they won't give us, they won't give them the title change. Because that you're just conditioned to think that Raw is going to screw you all the time. At least I am. It's sad. It's sad to think that way. But this is this segment struck me as they are truly missing something here. And that is, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, and I'm not talking about a heel authority figure. I think everybody's heard my rants about heel authority figures and how they've been doing it for 22 years and it's got to end, and they finally ended it on Raw and SmackDown. Shane McMahon is off of SmackDown now. It's time to move on to the next thing. The heel authority figure is just a storyline. They don't actually run anything unless, they are, most of them were McMahon, so they do actually run things. But what was supposed to be, something designed to help get faces over turned into this masturbatory exercise by the McMahons of just putting themselves over constantly. So it got out of hand. It's been out of hand for years. They finally cleared that up. Good. These shows still need a figurehead authority figure, authority person. Think of like a WWF president, Jack Tunney. Think of like Teddy Long, but not out every week. Definitely not out every week, and definitely not making one-on-one matches with The Undertaker and tag team main events and all that stuff. We need like Teddy Long light, who just comes out to settle disputes like this and is there for like contract signings and stuff like that. Something where it's like, okay, when this guy comes out, this is a big deal. Like they actually had that with Linda McMahon for the longest time. It was like, it would always be like Vince and Shane and Stephanie would just be absolute assholes. And then eventually things would get so out of hand that Linda McMahon would come out to the WrestleMania 5 theme song, which is still one of the best WrestleMania theme songs of all time, and would just lay down the law, essentially, and make a fair match because she's the CEO and she could do it. And it was like, yeah, Linda sucked on promos, but it was like when Linda came out, you knew that the odds were going to be evened, and that there was somebody over Vince that could absolutely put the show back on track. So yeah, we could definitely use like a commissioner, like what Shawn Michaels was towards the end when he was commissioner. He would make appearances every now and then. He wasn't out all the time. It was just to settle disputes. Mick Foley was out a little too much. Maybe we don't need that kind of commissioner, but we need somebody. And it was like, if Ricochet is the one making matches, that's just goofy as shit. Every sport has a commissioner or somebody, somebody that is in charge of telling others what they need to be doing and how to do it. Like, Dana White, Rob Manfred from MLB, you need somebody there. And Daniel, how dare you, not the anonymous Raw general manager. No general managers, nobody who's going to be out every week, nobody that can have a character that can turn heel. They are just neutral. They do nothing. Sometimes they'll rule in favor of the heel, but it's neutral. Sometimes they'll rule in favor of the face, but it's neutral. We need that. These shows need it in order for, number one, for a suspension of disbelief aspect. Number two, it just kind of makes sense. If you're doing a simulated sport, if you're doing a simulated, fight, you still need, there still needs to be some kind of like rules that, you abide by. There needs to be some kind of thing. Andrew Elder, yes, exactly. Andrew mentioned on Twitter earlier tonight the network representative idea, like the old ECW Cyrus the Virus thing. Yeah, but he had a character. I don't want anybody having a character. They're just somebody who comes out and just levels the playing field, or settles a dispute. That's what I'm looking for. So maybe not. We'll see. That's Sounder Mike. That's oh God, no, not the Sounder, please, no. I'm good, Daniel. Thank you, sir. Anyway, Fatal 4-Way was pretty decent. Just a typical WWE Fatal 4-Way. Big guys dominated the little guys for a while. McIntyre and Orton teamed up. And then McIntyre and Orton actually did this one spot where McIntyre just chopped the hell out of Orton's chest, let the big black and blue on his pec. And it rang so much that like Orton had to put his finger in his ear because it was ringing so much. That was a cool spot. I really liked what they were doing. I really liked that aspect of it. I liked Orton and McIntyre, and I would love to see a match of them down the line, especially because it looks like they're sending Orton to the face side. Mysterio winds up catching Ricochet after a really good finishing sequence, a really, really good finishing sequence. A couple springboards that Ricochet countered, but Mysterio counters into a roll-up, pins Ricochet for the win. Formulaic, it was your basic Fatal 4-Way, but it was good. It was well done. Sometimes, like, their formula matches, like their tag team main event formula, for example, always works. It always gets over. Their triple threats are usually pretty good. They're basic. They're standard. It's always one guy on the outside, two guys shine, other guy comes in, the other guy goes out. It's the formula. They work for TV. When it's a special event, when it's a pay-per-view or something like that, you're looking for a little something extra than just the regular formula. But on TV, these things always work. I thought this was a good Fatal 4-Way. AJ Styles is very pleased to be facing Rey Mysterio. Picks him apart a little bit for the match and is like kind of sauntering around the ring. And then eventually the OC get involved, Gallows and Anderson. I have to ask, is there any pop in wrestling that's more consistent than when the referee points at the heel manager and goes, "You're out of here"? The crowd always loses their mind for that. It's amazing. He pointed at Gallows and Anderson, gave him the heave-ho, and the crowd just lost their mind. I don't know why that's like one spot that never fails. Never. It doesn't matter who the manager is. It could be Leo Rush managing Bobby Lashley. It could be anybody. It works. Zelina Vega getting ejected with Andrade. It works. It always works. And you would think like, okay, we see this coming a mile away. We see it coming a mile away. Nope. And they still pop for it anyway. They still do. So they get ejected by the referee. It's a little bit more of a fair fight now. There was a great spot where Mysterio hits Styles with a 619. He winds up taking out the referee. And that's when Gallows and Anderson make their comeback. And that sends out Randy Orton, who takes out Gallows and Anderson. So this kind of solidifies Orton as a face, in my opinion. Mysterio hits 619. Orton hits the RKO on Styles. So that's going to be his next feud, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. I didn't think they got a fair shake. Oh my God, my Alexa or my Siri just did something. I don't know why it's talking to me right now. Anyway, I didn't think that they got a long enough feud heading into WrestleMania. I would have liked to have seen more of AJ Styles and Randy Orton, so I guess we're going to get that for the next month or so. Then Rey Mysterio hits a frog splash for the win. New United States champion Dominic comes out, celebrates with his dad, puts him on his shoulders. It's a great feel-good moment. It's a really, really good moment. Let me show a couple gifs of it because it was really nice. I like these things where there's kind of like a mix of real emotion there. 619 into the RKO, very nicely done. They don't show the frog splash, it's okay, but I mean, that's a great family moment. That's gonna be, I mean, yeah, it's to us, it's like, okay, it happened and let's move on. But for the Mysterios or the real name Gutierrez's, that's going to be something that's probably going to be framed on the wall. This is probably like one of the coolest moments of Rey Mysterio's career because he's celebrating a title victory with his son. I dig stuff like that. As a new father, it's like you think about like these like really cool moments that you can share with your child, and I wonder what kind of moments I'll get to share with Liliana. And I'm looking at Rey Mysterio sharing a nice moment with his son Dominic. Kind of tugs on the heartstrings. I like it. And I have to remember not to spell his name with a C because I'm looking at the Twitter handle right there. It's Dominik. Okay. Dominic. Like that. Okay. See, that's me learning on the fly for my recapping. That's how I do it. Anyway. It's haunted, Andrew Elder says. Andrew Elder says, I can't wait for Dominic till he turns on Rey. I actually thought that he was going to have Rey on his shoulders. I was texting Billy Hefner earlier. I was like, what if Dominic just like, basically I was just thinking in my head, like, what if Dominic just like falls back with the electric chair and beats up his dad? It's not time yet. It's not time yet. We're not close to that happening yet. And I don't know if Dominic, even if he does do it, is he seasoned enough to even have a match against his father? You know, I'm sure his dad would carry him to a good match. I mean, Rey Mysterio is one of the best of all time, so he could do it, but I don't know. It's not time yet. Not time. We got to get through Christmas. Got to get through Christmas, and then when a ton of people start watching again, hopefully they hope, because a lot of people fell off, following WrestleMania, and they never really came back, and it's worse. It's a bigger fall off than it's ever been. Anyway, hopefully they all come back for WrestleMania season. That's when I would turn Dominic. But we'll see. They still have to win. I think they still have to win the tag team titles together. And Dominic still has to have a damn match. How about that? So anyway, good moment. Really feel good moment. That for me is the highlight of the show. And I'll just tell you right off the bat, I give the show a thumbs up just for that, because that's how much I like that angle. And I know a lot of people are like kind of down on Mysterio, like, oh, he's old, he's small, this and that. It's like, if you can't enjoy good wrestling, seek help or stop watching, please. Like, really, like, you're gonna be miserable about stuff even like this. It's like, oh, it's too much of a feel good moment. Like, come on. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, flat because it was following the title change, but damn, these two have really, really good chemistry. Really good chemistry. I could watch Asuka and Charlotte Flair have a match every day, and it'd probably be different, and it'd probably be just as good as the last one. They're that talented, the both of them. And I think everybody heard last night on Wrestleview Live me extolling the virtues of Charlotte Flair. I do think that she's better than 95% of the male roster. She's that good. She had another good showing here tonight. Again, it was flat, but they made it work. They made it work. They did the green mist. They're gonna. I would imagine they're gonna do some kind of gimmick match at TLC with Charlotte and Asuka, or maybe it's gonna be Charlotte and Becky Lynch versus the Kabuki Warriors for the tag titles in some kind of gimmick match. Either way, this is not over. I thought it was really good. It's actually nice to see Asuka get a win over Charlotte Flair too, because Charlotte Flair usually is the one coming out on top there. I like it, and the Erick Rowan thing. It's like, he didn't have the damn cage before when he was on SmackDown attacking Roman Reigns. And now he comes over to Raw. It's like, okay, well, here's a bird cage, and that's your new gimmick, man. It's like, really? That's the best they got. That's the best they could come up with. Got it. All right. So he beat up another jobber. I am kind of curious to see what's under the sheet. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks is under the sheet. But it's going to be something just dumb. It's going to be really stupid. It's going to be dumb. I just have that feeling that this is not a storyline that's built to be awesome, I think. Anyway, I hate to end it like that, but that was the Raw recap. Because we had the main event with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens after that, and I thought that angle, again, just to reiterate, I thought that angle with Rollins and AOP and the cliffhanger, a true cliffhanger, was really solid. I thought they did a really nice job of making you ask questions. Was Rollins involved in that? Or is he just faking it, or is he really serious? Would he have fought them and fought them off for Kevin Owens? I like that kind of stuff. Quentin thinks it might be Mercy the Buzzard under there. Oh, I don't know. Oh, by the way, they announced for SmackDown this Friday there's going to be a new member of the Firefly Funhouse. Spoiler alert, they have not contacted us. Liliana is staying at home. She will not be going to SmackDown on Friday to be part of the Firefly Funhouse. But that would have been good, because I got to tell you, I love my daughter. She's very creepy though. Very, very creepy. She just like the noises that she makes, growling and like all these like stuff, like these noises. Like, are they even human? She sounds like a cat sometimes, but she's creepy. But she's very beautiful. I love her very, very much. But no, she's not going to be part of the Firefly Funhouse, but they are bringing in a new character for that. And that's it. That's all I got for Raw tonight. I talked about the Corey Graves situations. I definitely want to talk about that. Hayden Barker thinks it's Jeff Hardy. It could be some like kind of court papers. Or actually, it could be the DUIs of Jeff Hardy and Jimmy Uso in the cage. That'd be pretty interesting. Speaking of, man, where are the Usos? Like when is this going to be over? Are they ever coming back? I mean, is it even worth bringing them back with like all this legal trouble that Jimmy Uso keeps kind of finding himself in? And more Jimmy than Jay. I mean, Jay's had his troubles too, but damn, it's crazy. So everybody's kind of giving Raw a thumbs up, I'm seeing. Quentin Walters, Nafi Sadat. Quentin Walters actually gave the post-Raw show itself a thumbs up, which I appreciate. What does everybody else say? What do you think? Quentin Walters says, Princess Tedesco is the real Sister Abigail. Did you hear that, hon? I do. Victoria likes it. Thumbs up all the way from Mashun Walls. Nafi Sadat gives it a thumbs up. Oh, Andrew Elder goes in prison day one-ish. Okay, thumbs up from Andrew Elder. Billy Hefner way up. Hayden Barker. Usos are on a drinking cruise, I'd guess. I guess maybe they will be part of the Jericho cruise. I have no idea. That'd be pretty interesting. Anyway, this is the culmination of a very long weekend of wrestling. I'm pretty burned out. I mean, it's the night before Thanksgiving, and we usually like to do stuff that night. We're probably might have our cousins over, so I don't think I'll be recapping NXT, which means the next time I recap a wrestling show will be next Monday for Raw. So I could use this week off to kind of just take a breath and just say, whew. Or maybe you never know. Maybe I'll do the 1 hour Starrcade on Sunday, which why not? We'll see. But yeah, I definitely need a breather from wrestling for a little bit. I'll just be doing Wrestleview stuff, but no recapping. That'd be kind of nice to do. I really appreciate you all coming out here and hanging out with me again. After Wrestleview Live last night, you're here again, hanging out with me, and the chat room is lively. You guys are all awesome. You came through big time. You survived it with me. Billy Hefner especially survived it with me. Billy texted me every single show. So if I did this for 17, 18 hours, Billy did it with me for 17, 18 hours as well. That's dedication. That's a true friend. That's a true brother. I really enjoyed, but I enjoyed this. I even though I griped about the Survivor Series thing and how there's no stakes on the line, this was still a fun weekend of wrestling. It really, no real bad shows. Just shows some of the shows just meant nothing, but they weren't bad. For those that celebrate in America, I'd like to wish you and yours a very, very happy Thanksgiving. I know in Canada they celebrated a month early, so I'm sorry that I missed it in October, but October was a busy month. Hayden Barker had first baby Thanksgiving, yes, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Hayden. Everybody, hope you have a real safe, happy holiday. We'll see you back here on Post Raw next Monday. Have a good one, and I'll see you then. Take care.